September 6th, 2011, a game called Dead Island would be released. A game that came out with not so much fanfare because of its, well, let's say lack of story. And it was promising things that it would never deliver on. A massive story that with multiple choices that would end up changing what you were doing and what affected the map in the story. And instead, we have got basically just your generic hack and slash zombie game. Then, in 2016, we had the Definitive Edition, a complete 360 to Xbox One and PS4 remaster of Dead Island. And although, I mean, it was good, it didn't change anything about the game. If you wanted a truly definitive new version to play, then this would be your go to. But you're still not getting the game that was initially wanted by the developers. Which leads me to my review on the game today. In 2024, almost 13 years past the game's initial launch, I want to go over today the overall maps, what I like about the game, what I dislike, what I think they could improve if they did a reimagining on the game, and just overall how the game is to play here in this time, in this date. So, let's get into it. I think that the maps on Dead Island are not memorable by any means. They're unique, to say the least, but they're nothing good about them, to be honest. I don't personally like the maps in Dead Island. I think they're bland. I think that they could be done better. They're boring. The quests, whenever you play them, they don't really give a sense of why you need to be there. Maps and the quests together, they make each other. And in Dead Island, the quests don't really do justice to the map. Good quests will mold the map and feel like it's important for you to be there, and that the characters have a need to be there and that they're made for the map. But for me, Dead Island doesn't do that. Dead Island gives you just the sense of you're there, you were on vacation or whatever, and you just stumbled into this outbreak, this apocalypse, and you have such mundane quests like it's funny, but finding a teddy bear for a lady that lost it and she wants her teddy bear back. You do fetch quests. You find water for characters. You go find other people, but there's no sense of why you need to be there. And this is the first map. You're at the island resort. The map is broke up into four distinct areas. You have the resort, the city, the jungle, and the prison. All can be done within a relatively short amount of time. You can honestly speedrun this game and be done within 5 to 7 hours. There's no sense of needing to just go and explore the maps and explore the quests and what the game really has to offer whenever there's no reason to. These characters don't give you a sense of wanting to just continue to play the game and show them what what they're here for, because whenever you do these quests, there's no real storyline driven anything to it. You'll get a reward or two, but everything is so cut and dry on the first map because they use this resort, this paradise type in both, which means it gets stale really quickly if you played both. It's it's not great because it's really generic. It's almost kind of linear in my opinion. Like this map, you have the lighthouse and then you have the guard tower, but then you have your hotel building, and it all blends together to have a very, very almost generic map, in my opinion. Which isn't to say it's a bad map. You can have a generic map and it be good. Left 4 Dead, the maps are really basic. You play it, you get used to it, and then it's that. It's linear. But the maps are good and they feel like they have some character, some reason that the characters know or fit there because of the story that they build. But you don't really get that. You don't really get the whole story because you're on vacation and then the outbreak happens. there's nothing that really brings you into that and really makes you want to learn more about what's going on the island, which it's its downfall. There there's nothing really too redeeming about this first area. You do some quests, and so you do all of your quests that you have to do. You find an armored truck in the hotel parking garage, then you beef it up, you armor it up, and then you take it into the city. The city is the second area in Dead Island. And I wouldn't be lying if I told you this, in my opinion, is the most bland area in the entire game. And it is one of my least favorite maps I have played in almost any video game I have ever played. I do not know why. It is bleak, it is dreary, it's gross, there's trash everywhere, and it's just buildings. There's zombies cramped everywhere, making movement almost annoyingly impossible. You try to move anywhere, and if you don't have a car, then you're just going to be slapped by zombies and thrown around, making it so annoying. This area introduces ram zombies, which cannot be damaged from the front. They have to be damaged from the back, and they just throw you around, deal all your damage, and kill you. It is so annoying. The layout of the map, weirdly, I like a bit more because it's not just open weird, like I can't tell what I like more, the city or the resort. The resort is vibrant, it's beautiful, it has colors because it's a resort. You have the beach, you have the ocean, you have all of these. But the torn down, destroyed area, they made it too gray and bleak, but they made the structuring of the city just right. Just buildings graffiti, torn down, and barricades blocked everywhere, with the obvious struggle of people trying to stay safe and survive this apocalypse. You can tell that they did a good job with the city, and they found a good way to incorporate a real, almost realistic type on what would happen. But they made it so downcast, and they made it just so gross looking that it's almost hard to admire the actual niceness of the area. And then they throw in all the zombies in it, and it makes it so annoying. But it doesn't really matter because the fact that you can do like 10 side quests, but you have like 3 main quests in the city area, which isn't a lot. You stay in that city for an hour maybe in your whole playtime of the game. And this is a half of the area. This is the second part, and they put no real just substance in it. They make a whole area. It's not big by any means. It's not a big area. It's not as big as the first area, at least in my opinion. But they don't give any real care to it, which is really sucky. Like, they do all this. They make this second area, and they make you stay in there, and there's no real point to it. It's has so little area, and that area you do spend is spent in my least favorite part of this whole game, the sewer. The sewer area is so goddamn tight. It is so unforgivingly annoying with the zombie spawns and how cramped it is, and you just don't want to be there. You use the sewer system to get to the police station and out because it's all barricaded from survivors that are trying to hide out. Then you use the sewer system to get to the jungle, the third part in the map. The city is only really the church, the sewer system, and then the police station. It's not interesting. You would think that they would put some more time with these areas, but they didn't care, it seems like. And it shows because it's unremarkable. There's nothing interesting about it. And every single time I came to the city, I just was like, here I go again. Here's this. Here's this map. But they really made it up with the third act. The jungle is a beautiful area. It is the third area in the game, and they did an amazing job. I think that the jungle makes up for what is lackluster in the first 2 acts. The jungle is green, it's vibrant, it's beautiful, it is full of life. There's not so many zombies to make it overwhelming. You can explore and you can enjoy this map because the developers, you can tell, went out of their way to actually make something enjoyable. They designed all of the foliage. They designed the trees. It's not just a slapped in skybox. You could almost never see the skybox, which is kind of cool in my opinion, because the skybox is just like blue sky, but they really tried to put detail into it. It's honestly kind of beautiful the way they designed this map, because you could tell that they had passion for this map, because it looks like this beautiful nature documentary almost, but then you come to realize that there's all these zombies, and it's been tainted by this infection and by man, because there's so little man-made structures, but where there's destruction. They just did a really good job at blending what is this vibrant, all natural area with the actual outbreak. Then you go on a boat, and then this is another technical area, but it's in the same jungle. It is the laboratory. The laboratory, it's fun to do quests there. Don't get me wrong, there are actual fun quests to do, but you don't stay there for long, and it doesn't feel important. You go there, and then you deal with the things that the scientists want, and then you leave, and then you go to the fourth area. Honestly, it is a cool little layout of the area, because that's where you also go to the tribesmen of the area, and then you have to do some quests for them and the scientists. But otherwise, it's not really notable. It's a really nice area with some very easy quests, where it's just running back and forth and grabbing some items, but dealing with some infected. But otherwise, it's nothing too special. Now we have the fourth area. Honestly, it's not a bad area. It's really basic though. It is the prison. After this whole time, you finally get to the prison to meet Ryder White, and it's cool, and the concept behind it and what you do quests for is really cool in my opinion. It's just they just decided that it would be better to end the game instead of carrying it out, because this prison is on an island. You can't go back and forth that easily, and obviously with fast traveling, but you can't just justify the narrative going off this island for all that. So they just decided it'd be better to do 2 to 3 quests and have the game be over. You have to do quests for Titus, the ringleader in the prison, and he just has you do generic stuff like getting the armory open, or opening up the kitchen, and it doesn't really matter. They're obviously quests to just pad out the end of the game, and even still, it's the ending is unremarkable because of the fact of how they end it whenever you're just doing a basic quest, and it's like there's no cool lead up, and there was no dramatic ending. It's just you kind of get to where you need to be and where the game needs to end, and then you do that and the game's over. There's nothing cool about it, but the game just ends, which is Dead Island. I enjoyed the series a lot, but honestly, the first game is unremarkable beyond a shadow of a doubt. This leads me to the story of Dead Island. I won't lie to you, I don't think I could have cared almost any less about the story of Dead Island 1. I enjoyed what everybody else probably enjoys, which is the hacking and slashing of the zombies, and just enjoying the scenery, or whatever there was of scenery in the game. But the story is generic. It's bland. There's nothing really. There's no stress in the story. There's no reason to do any side quests, or keep things moving. There are 4 playable main characters in Dead Island. There is Sam B, the blunt weapons expert. You have Jean Mei, the bladed weapons expert. You have Logan Carter, the throwable expert, and Perna Jackson, the firearms expert. I mainly play as Jean in the game, and that's because I just like bladed weapons. Each character has their own Fury special, which is a charged attack that doesn't make you immune, but it makes you do a lot of damage within a short amount of time. Every character's is unique, but you can just guess that it's their main sort of weapon of choice, and that's about it. In the game, there are skill trees for everybody. Everybody technically has their own combat skill tree and fury skill tree, but it's all practically the same because it is all just different moves for different people, but the same basic new move or new fury ability, along with the universal survival ability. They didn't shout on perks. There are tons of perks that don't make the game too unbalanced and keep it fun and engaging so you can level up and keep playing and build new characters each time you play through, depending on how you want to do, or if you just want to fully level up a character, then that is completely your choice. It's really nice what they did with the perks because of the fact that it gives you so much choice with each character on what you want to do. Or if you just want to make a really overpowered person and enjoy the game, then you can do that. Which leads me to the weapons. The weapons on Dead Island are kind of basic. You have assault rifle, you have pistol, you have shotgun, and then you have a large sleuth of melee weapons. You have bladed weapons, which you have sais, katanas, you have machetes, knives. Nothing too, grand. It's all the same after a little while. And then blunt weapons, you have baseball bats, you have batons, you have paddles, you have oars, which are cool. It fits the aesthetic of the map because of it being a resort, and you can find specialty weapons on certain maps. Like you can't find an oar on the prison or an oar in on the city, which is cool. But there's not many weapons, and it's a game from 2011. Cut it some slack there, but there's nothing too interesting about the weapons. But what does make up for that is the mods. There are tons of mods in Dead Island. That is one of the crowning things about Dead Island is their mods. You can select what kind of mod you want to do, whether it's electricity, poison, fire, or bleeding. And they add something cool to your weapons. They add more damage, more critical attacks, and they add more critical effects to where fighting the zombies isn't just one-sided slashing. You can basically debilitate them with these mods, and it will act as a new way to fight whenever you're just, either beating them or slashing them, and it'll add a nice little, extra kick to your weapons. And you can even mod the guns, which is really cool in my opinion. But that's not the coolest part of this game. The coolest part is the godly weapons. And from my experience, the godly weapons aren't good. They aren't that great for being quote unquote godly, but they are really cool. You have, I think, four different types. I'm gonna have to fact check myself here, but they have different things, and I've only gotten one godly weapon, and it was lightning fists. It breaks very quick. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it is funny. You punch the zombie, and they fly back of it, and they are riddled with electricity. It's nothing super groundbreaking, but it is cool, and it is actually one of the things I really like about Dead Island. Was the godly weapons, which they did not bring back in Riptide, which I think was genuinely kind of a mistake on their part because it was fun to try to find the mystery and find the secret that was the godly weapons and where they were located, because you would have to find a skull hidden around the map, and then you'd have to try to find the area in which that skull goes to, and it would give you the blueprint, and it would cost a lot of money in diamonds, which diamonds aren't really that hard to get in the original Dead Island. Now let's talk about the story. The story of Dead Island is boring. I can't find almost any reason on why you'd want to come back to Dead Island just to solely play the story, to be honest. The characters are generic, your generic survival of oh no, we're gonna die, and then the hard asses and obviously the leaders and all that. There's nothing too groundbreaking about it. You have to go to the lighthouse and help the people there, and then after you leave the lighthouse and the in the guard tower, things start going downhill. You find out that people are starving and they're dying of thirst, and there's no medicine there, and you would think, okay, I'm getting these quotes and I'm getting these lines that's telling me that people here are dying and they need help, and you can't do anything about it. You get all this information, and from my knowledge, you don't do anything about it. Even if you go back, you can't just do a quest that's like, yeah, here's some food and medicine, you save all these people. It's just, here, they're dying. Whoop de doo, good job. You're out here leaving. You're trying to save your asses, but there's no substance. There's no nothing behind it. You can't do anything about it. Like, what's the point in telling me the lines whenever it's not even putting into effect? You can't you can't do anything about it because there's nothing to do. You're just, oh no, these characters are dying, but like, okay, that sucks for them, I guess. And then after you steal a bank truck from the hotel, don't ask why there was a bank truck at the hotel. I don't even know. You meet Earl, and Earl offers to reinforce your truck for free. He offers to do it for you. The only stipulation after is the fact that you have to take Jen, his daughter, with you wherever you go, because the fact that he's about to turn into a zombie because his ass got bit. Sucks to be him. I don't know how it happened. There's no story behind it. There's no lore on why he got bit or how he got bit. He was just trying to help some people and got bit. That sucks. But you reinforce this truck and then you go to the city after you take Jin with you, and then you find the church. The main person in the church is Mother Helen. And honestly, there's nothing, in my opinion, behind the church. You go there, you do some quests for them, and it's basically over just like that. There's nothing interesting about it because it's like, I don't know, you're there and then you're out. Like, yeah, I help you guys get some water and then we're done. Like, okay, you save them from the bell, their church bell going off at the beginning, and that's it. It's like, okay. Otherwise, there's nothing too interesting about it. I mean, whatever. Then you go to the jungle, you meet some people that know how to go to the prison by boat. Honestly, I forget their name. I don't really care because they're cool, but they end up dying in the prison. Sorry, spoilers ahead. They end up dying in the prison. Nothing too interesting. Honestly, then after you help at the church, you end up going to the jungle, which isn't interesting. The story there, you help with some people at the laboratory, and you pick up somebody that knows how to get to the prison safely because there's mines, there's sea mines encasing the whole prison because there's tons of terrorists there. But otherwise, yeah, there's no meat on the bone of the story in the jungle. To be honest, I don't think that there's anything that really keeps me interested or really sucks me in and engages me. But that's just how this game is, in my opinion. The story isn't that great. If you want a good story in a game, this isn't your game. You have to really enjoy the hack and slash genre for zombies to enjoy this game. Because if you're in it for a full on story, you're not gonna get it. And you could argue because, oh, it was made in 2011, the times were different, whatever. But there's games from 2011 and older that made good and compelling stories. They took what they had and they made something out of it. But Dead Island just doesn't. They failed to deliver what they initially wanted, and it shows because there's nothing there. It's like the problem with modern gaming. They try to over deliver something and they don't deliver anything at all. And that's the problem with Dead Island. So during the jungle, you go to the laboratory and you find out that this disease is the Kuru virus, which comes around a lot but takes years to fester in people and actually start an outbreak like it has this time around. You find out that there is a whole tribe of them that's quote unquote immune. They haven't been affected by the zombies because they eat the flesh of the zombies, and it's like, okay, how does that work? We don't really go into that. So you just have to wonder with that. Whenever you help the tribesmen, you go into an ancient tomb of their people, and then you meet this lady called Yerma, and it's hard to say she's important because she sticks with you for the rest of the game, but she's the reason why the laboratory gets killed. The laboratory tries to drain all of her blood for samples and tries to make a cure out of it. And then she hides, and then whenever they try to unlock her from a cage that she hides in, they unlock and bring out all the zombies, and they all just die. So it's like, okay, it's cool to know that laboratory, but they died in the most uneventful off-screen way anyway, because you're not even there when they die. But you bring Yerma and Jen and the rest of the characters to the prison, and then that's where you meet Titus, and he's your generic mob boss. He's actually pretty cool in my opinion, but obviously kind of the stereotype for a douchey ringleader. But you do generic quests for these people. You clear out the armory, and then you clear out a main cell block. You clear out an armory. You clear out the kitchen. You just clear out parts of the prison, and it's like, okay, whatever. And this is leading up to the final climax. This is leading up to the big ending of the game. You're escaping after this whole time. You've been trying your ass off to get here and to finally finish it. And then the game basically ends. At the end, you're trying to clear out a whole cell block for Titus, and then the mystery man who's been talking to you through the intercom this whole time, the Ryder White, tells you, you know what, we're not going to give him all the guns and everything. We're not going to arm these dangerous terrorists. So how about all those people that you took, just leave them, and you guys can just go through these vents and out. You can just go to the rooftop. And then you're climbing through these vents, and then you're leaving. And then you stumble upon Yerma and Jen, and you're like, okay, what happened here? How did this happen? And then in the most depressing state ever, they just go, yeah, well, he got overthrown, Titus. So yeah, we're here now. The big ending of the prison being overthrown is off screen, and you don't get anything out of it. You just end the game. This cool climactic battle, or what could have been a showdown to overthrow the prison and get everybody on your side and then leave, or just something, it's turned into nothing. They had this cool idea and this concept, and then they just go, yep, off screen, he got killed, and then here we are. Okay. Ryder White, the reason that you've been coming to this prison to try to escape, is a colonel in the military, and he calls in a chopper for everybody. But he only does this because of the fact that your characters are immune, and he knows this, and his wife has been bitten by a zombie, and he wants to try to make and find a cure to save his wife. Ryder White drugs you in an elevator when you're trying to come up, and he steals the cure from you, and then you basically find your way to the roof, and he tries to kill you because, obviously a big baddie. But he starts shit talking you guys whenever you're up on the roof, and Jin just goes, you know what, eat shit and die. Jin releases his zombie wife onto him, and she just gobbles him up. She just loves on him. She just gives him little love kisses all over. And he is infected now, technically, because, he just got his shit eaten by his wife. So he shoots his wife, and then he shoots Jen just in the chest and kills her. She just dies. All that beautiful build-up for Jen to just, whoop, gone. But he uses the cure on himself, and the cure just mutates him. That's it. There's nothing else. I mean, it just instantly mutates him, and then boom, this is your boss fight. This is the big baddie. You have to kill an infected Ryder White. And let me tell you, this boss fight, for how at least I played it, and I'm stupid, but how I played it is unfair. You are in a helicopter pad, and it's just this enclosed, tight area, and it does nothing to help you, and you're just getting your shit rocked by this man. And all you can do is try to fight back, but he has so much health and he's so damaging that I died multiple times, because it's like you're trying to fight in this area, but there's no room and it's suffocating. He does so much damage, you just die and you die. And you just got to try to wither him down because he doesn't regain his health after he dies. I even tried Fury mode, but he just one-tapped me and I just fell back and then died. It's not fair, but that's it. You kill him, and then you fly off in a helicopter, and oh man, I hope life returns to normal, but that's probably not going to happen. Game over. And that's it. That's how the game ends. Now, I want to discuss whether or not I think that the game is still fun to play and still decent to play in 2024 on the definitive edition, which released in 2016. That's 8 years ago, basically. The game is old and the game is buggy. They don't update it, which it makes sense. The game is buggy, but it's not buggy enough to say that it's awful. It's a Bethesda type buggy. You enjoy the game for what it is, and you enjoy the bugs because they're dumb. Like you can run down the stairs and jump, and then your jump will basically go 10 feet in the air, but you'll still fall down and die because there's fall damage. There's ragdolls of bodies that just spaz out and glitch, and there's spots that you can get stuck in, and basically, well, it'll kill you, but it's charming in a way. Games that remove funny and stupid glitches, it removes charm, and this game has the age in which it has those glitches because the game just becomes random and buggy. And I think it adds charm to the game. I would still say the game is fun to play and it's safe to play. I don't know about multiplayer. I played it by myself and I have never played it really multiplayer. But if you want a funny, goofy experience that you could maybe play with some friends, I'd say it's a good choice because you have those moments where it's just absolutely atrociously buggy and you're laughing because it's just glitching out and being stupid. And then there's the fact that the animations and the characters' voices and everything else with driving doesn't match. It leads to a really funny experience because nothing's synced up properly, and it's just a really fun game from the past. I wouldn't recommend this game if you're just purely into story. If you're purely into story, you're not gonna get anything out of this. You're not gonna enjoy it. But if you're more lax and enjoy the funness of the gameplay and the absolute goofiness of what it has to offer, then I would say go for it. I'd say that this series can bring you a lot of fun, and I would say that it is a really memorable series because of just what it has to offer in the gameplay department, honestly. Riptide does a lot better of a job just fleshing out just a little bit of story and putting in that gameplay and just giving it what it needs to shine. But Dead Island doesn't do that much. It just gives you the gameplay and then that's it. I would rate Dead Island 1 a 6 out of 10. It has elements of gameplay that are fun and enjoyable, and the glitchiness adds charm to it because of the age, and you just get that, with old games. But the story isn't interesting beyond any means. There's nothing cool, there's nothing fun about the story. It's not even fun bad. It's just there and it tries, but it falls flat on its face and it sucks and it really sucks. But it's a fun game, though I wouldn't see myself coming back to Dead Island 1 anytime soon to replay it and enjoy some of the gameplay it has to offer when you can play Dead Island Riptide. I will make a Dead Island Riptide video, and I will probably try to make a Dying Light video because they're made by the same dev team, just different publishers. But Dead Island 1 is almost a diamond in the rough. There is a lot of roughness to it, and there's a lot of unpolishedness about it, and you can tell that they tried to make something, but they just failed. But there's kind of that beauty of it because you have such a weirdly fun dynamic with the gore and what they have to offer with the zombies and the gameplay of it, that it almost balances it out in the series because you play the first game and then you're like, okay, the story just sucks. You come to expect something, but there's nothing with the story. And then you play the game and there's something charming about the main characters and the weird dynamic they have with each other. And you just kind of come to enjoy that in the gameplay of it. You don't care as much about the story because it doesn't try to make a serious story. It tries to be kind of goofy, but you kind of realize that they stopped caring about the story whenever they realized that they weren't gonna make a movie like they wanted to originally. They kind of just made a game. That is where I'll leave you in my Dead Island review. I really hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. It was fun, and it was fun to relive part of my childhood. This game has been an important thing to me for my whole life, and it is one of the reasons I'm into the zombie genre. So I hope that you guys enjoyed my review, and thank you for watching. Bye.